John Mellencamp right here on Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Used to be John Cougar, no longer. That was actually something that was kind of snuck in on him. Someone thought it was a better idea than using his own name, which is actually very common. But that being said, I mean, because RadioStyle is obviously my last name, right? I mean, come on. But again, all these things, sometimes things happen in our lives that maybe weren't exactly what we had in mind, but then I'm sure John Cougar didn't mind being called that for the period of time until like the early 90s or right around there where he decided to just strip off the Cougar and actually go with his real name, and it worked out for him, right? Again, it's one of those things, but he built up. He was someone phony for a few years, a number of years leading into it, but actually accomplished what he was after, probably to be a musician. Kind of ties into this topic and sort of a good example just in and of itself. So what I'm talking about, what we really want versus what we're asking for. I have no idea what I'm going to call this because that seems like a horrible title, but that's actually what I've got written down at the moment for those of you that see it's titled something else that hopefully is better. A lot of this came up from an example of something that I have been working on in my life. And it's something that was kind of off to the side, something that I've actually put some manifesting power towards. And something, of course, I've let go. I really don't care all that much. So, again, it was one of those things like, hey, what happens, it happens. No big deal. I'm going to give examples to that, but really I kind of wanted to preface a little. We'll go into it first. So voiceover work is something I do on the side as well. It pays rather well. Jobs are coming more frequently, but the concept of doing voiceover work is fun to me. It's kind of why I got into, that's why I'm doing the YouTubes, to keep practice going. It's an excuse to have the microphone, right? All these things are tie into a lot of that voice stuff that I enjoy doing and really do look forward to being a movie character in one of the cartoons. That's really why I got into radio to begin with, was back at the time they only really had Disney, but it was to be in a movie and be a character, right? I didn't even care if I was a spoon that walked through and said, "Oh, I love spoons." Like, would have been an accent that it wouldn't even have been me, but it still would have been my voice. And that would have been my line, right? I would have been the best spoon ever. Like, you would have believed I was a spoon. There would be no doubt. You'd be like, Dan's a spoon. There's no question. Let me see the spoonness of him. You can hear how a spoon would sound when he says his line with that horrible fake accent. It's amazing. So again, voiceover is something that I love very much. Well, I have a good friend that's into doing it. He's got a company, a video company, does a lot of really, really cool stuff. And I've done some voiceover work for him and some very lucrative voiceover work for him. And his life's in a little bit of a transition right now and wanted me to kind of help really try to manifest work for both of us, basically. And I really went after it from that standpoint. And so put that out there and just nothing really came from it, frankly. Right? Just didn't happen. I was still at the time doing voiceover work for kind of a place where I just got some more work recently. Kind of refigured out how to make that happen, so that was kind of cool. But it didn't really happen. So it kind of got to a point where I'm like, it's really about doing the voiceover work. And that's really what I'd like to be doing if I'm going to be doing that kind of work, right? Like, I don't really care if it's him. I know a few people that do it. I've got a company that hits me up, right? The company I work for, but it's kind of on a separate channel where that money comes from. So it's kind of groovy. It's like a little extra dough on the side. So it's all good stuff how it plays out. But my point is a lot of us get so fixated on exactly how this is supposed to happen, right? We've got some image in our mind and we are so fixated on that image that anytime it deviates or anytime anything outside of that happens, a lot of us don't feel like we've actually manifested what we're trying to create. And I get from the standpoint of most all the people say, you'll get exactly what you asked for, right? Like, okay, I get what everyone's saying, and sometimes you do. What I find is you get something around what you're asking for. It's usually very similar or close. I haven't found... there have been specifics. There have been a lot of for sures. But on the general, it's like I put it out there and it happens how it happens. And it's part of the fun about manifesting and creating stuff is seeing how it happens. Because, people have used this example a lot. It's definitely happened to me. But saying, I want a sign. And then you will see a neon sign for maybe a neon sign selling company, right? And it says, sign, or your sign here, or something weird like that. That's very funny. Like, I want a sign, your sign here. That's it. There's my sign, right? Again, what were we really trying to accomplish with the sign? 1. 2, there you go. Like, it's humor in its own right, just because it's kind of like, all right, you wanted something stupid to prove that something you already knew. A lot of times we get very specific about how things need to happen. We want to micromanage. Many of us try to micromanage our worlds. We try to micromanage in relationships. That's why some of us may be in exes right now, right? Ex relationships, because maybe we were trying hard to control the other. I've seen it in both sides. Both sexes do this. We have our own ways of doing it, mind you, but both sides are guilty of this one. I've certainly been guilty of it many, many times, and I've been on both sides of that one. Like I got that one. Dang, girl, I got that one. Hot, too hot to try. Know it. So being focused on something very specific, on something that it has to be this way, right? And no matter what it is, it could be your specific person, could be a job, could be any number of things. We get things stuck inside of ourselves, and it's got to be this. And we'll find that we'll delay ourselves and delay ourselves and delay ourselves because that isn't necessarily happening next. You're trying to make that happen out of order. And you're so focused on that being the only thing that's okay. That's the only thing that's okay. The universe is kind of like, you're leaving me no options. What I want to do is give you this, and then that'll come down the road. Or I'll give you this, then this, then this, then that. But so many of us get hung up on how it happens. I got hit up out of the blue for a voiceover job back with the other company, basically saying, would this dollar amount be okay? I basically got it approved that we could do it as a side thing because I'm salary and I want extra if I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I'm already busy doing my normal stuff, right? I'm not going to do it for free. There's no fun in that. So they worked out a deal. And they hit me up with that deal. And I said, yeah, that'll work. That's fine. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's good. It's good. I made really good money for the amount of time I had to put into it. So I got no complaints. But it wasn't from the avenue that I had been looking for. And I've literally not done voiceover work for probably about 4 or 5 months. So it's nice to have it out of the blue. It's nice to have this stream kind of firing back up. And what's also funny is he's probably going to approach me, or at least him, or I got another buddy that keeps saying he's got something in the works. He keeps saying it. That's just kind of how he rolls. I've done a couple projects for him. Again, they're about the same as the other channel, but this other guy, he brings some serious stuff to the table when he brings it. I'm sure that's coming. Again, it's a lot of times, it's getting the ball rolling. It's getting back into it. It's getting back in the habit, for me, of doing the editing and all the stuff that goes into it, and just the time, because it's a little monotonous. There's parts of it where it's like, all right, the parts I love doing, and then there's the part that I kind of have to do. And, you do what you do, and you take the whole job. It is what it is, right? When I get large and huge at it, I'll hire people to help me with the parts I don't enjoy doing. They'll be like, I love doing it, right? That'd be perfect. I'll find somebody that likes to make money doing what I don't enjoy doing, and we'll pass that off. Again, it's kind of helping, looking out, expanding our horizons, because this is who I am becoming, and I'm seeing that evolve, right? All of us have our own evolutions occurring right now. Many of us are very focused on that specific thing, that very minute, very tunnel vision, has to happen now, way too much pressure on it. Like, let it be. Let it happen. And in a lot of cases, step back a hair from it and kind of look big picture and say, what do I really want? Big picture. Yeah, maybe it's a specific person. Okay, let's step back a hair though. Is it truly that you want to be in a loving relationship with someone that loves you back? That's someone that's got time for you, that wants to be with you, that respects you, that appreciates you, that talks to you, that asks for your opinion. Is it that we want? Or is it really that important that it's specifically that person? Now, again, if specifically that person, and no matter what, is what you are trying to accomplish, that can happen. And then I recommend expanding dimensionally what your relationship, when you imagine, expand that dimensionally. Because really, now you're not just asking the same thing over and over. I want him, 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 I want him. Now you're like, oh, okay, I want him dressed in this sequin gown performing on the dance floor, and he calls me in and does those little numbers where he's like, come here, right? And I dance out and I I don't know, I'm just making something stupid up. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the house you're living in. Maybe it's you pulling in, seeing his car in the garage or driveway or whatever works for you. Maybe you see him bouncing your baby in the family room while you're preparing food. Like, imagine different scenes within your house. Imagine that whole concept. Imagine him walking in and you seeing his face smiling to see you. Because again, the more aspects of it we create, the better. And certainly when we broaden it out and say, well, what really matters, just to get off the specific person for a second, because there's other people that watch this channel that are not just there, right? But that's part of their life maybe. But again, when we step back, when we really look at what it is that we want, what we truly desire, when we start to think about that and extrapolate that and imagine what would my life be if I was in love with someone, how much time would I be spending with? I was single for a lot of years, right? When I finally kind of switched that around, or at least spent more time with someone than I had in the past, right? That finally happened. It was like I was imagining beforehand, what's my time going to be like? Am I at a point in my career with my YouTube, with all this different stuff I'm involved in, am I at a place where I can even handle having a relationship? Because honestly, a year ago, I wasn't. A year ago, my life was so involved with everything, just trying to deal with life and everything that I had to take care of. I manifested a few major changes, and that helped me immensely free up some needed free time to where I was now able to kind of open my life to what I really wanted, which was love, which was a great relationship, which was someone that's caring and is there for me and like thinks I'm super special and just, it's like unreal. And it's just probably one of the kindest spirits and gentlest hearts I know. When we open ourselves up to what we really desire, a lot of times our desire is sitting right here. And the second we finally say, I'm open to just what it is I really am after, a lot of us, because we've put so much power into manifesting, a lot of us will find what we're looking for right under our nose. And I am not even kidding. So again, sometimes we get way focused on the specifics, and I get it. I get why, and I get what we're trying to do. I just want everybody to kind of think for a second. What is it I'm really after? Am I trying to evolve my life? Am I trying to evolve my soul? Am I trying to evolve a loving relationship? Or am I trying to get a specific person back? Okay. Then we can definitely evolve those thoughts too as we expand that individual into someone that maybe treats us better. Because in a lot of cases, I've seen some interesting mixtures of situations around specific people and why we're seeking them and why we're so steadfastly seeking them. It's okay. There's no judgment. And that is one thing I really don't judge. Like, there was a comment I made today about something I wasn't real, like, it just didn't sound right the way it was coming across. And I'm like, it does sound good from where you're saying it, but I will say as a caveat, here's how I feel about this. Like, I don't condone that, right? And I don't know if that's happening, right? And I'm not accusing anybody, and I don't have judgment. Like, if that's what he's doing, I'm like, more power to you, but I can't like recommend that, right? I can't say I recommend being mean to people or I recommend doing, bad things or like, so there's just a certain level that a lot of us, I think, have to kind of come at things from. And certainly being open to what really matters and what we're really trying to accomplish, I think is really the takeaway, is really the big takeaway for a lot of us. And yes, we can have what we're after. And yes, we can have specific people. And I'm not saying that any of this stuff is keeping you from that. That's not what I'm saying at all. Saying a little evaluation is good, and then really paint the picture in more dimensions. Put more aspects to it. For me with the voiceover, it was actually just really imagining again, just doing the voiceover. I was thinking about it some more. I was like, oh yeah, my demo, it's actually on my channel. It's like something I did eons ago, right? It was like really noticing where my thoughts were at on it, where they had been, and I let go. And nothing really happened. It had been a while. That's where I was like, let's revisit that because I kind of miss doing it, right? At that point, I was like, I miss doing it. I kind of want to again. And really, things came pretty quickly when I just stopped focusing on where I wanted the voiceover work to come from and just said, no, voiceover work's groovy in general. Let's have it. Bring it. It's just experience. It's fun. It's resume. It's all good. There's no bads on that, right? So, again, kind of how things can play out when we just shift a hair from where we currently are. I hope there's a way to apply that to whatever it is you're trying to manifest right now. And then I say we're both winners for it. But it was something that happened to me, and it was something that kind of really made me think about this whole line of questioning and thoughts. And I was like, this probably make a good topic. So hopefully it goes over well with all you guys. Going out with a great song by No Doubt. The song's called, and of course it's very true, the title of it, Just a Girl. It's right here on Dan Radio Style.
I'm just a girl, a little low.